Well, welcome back to our beginner's guide to SimCity as we talk about ways of being successful with your city and your cities. We have devoted some episodes to talking about how to get a basic city up and running. We've devoted some episodes to how to focus your efforts on a different specialization. I want to devote an episode to the game itself. I want to take a step back from actually how to play the game to more of a buyer's guide to the game. And this is in response to comments in which people have said, I just started playing this game. Or, you know what, watching these videos has made me think that I want to give the game another try. And one comment that really got my attention was a person said, I really missed a lot of these details on this game all these years back. This game is way less broken than it appears on the surface and more complete too. So I want to spend some time really addressing that. This episode is for the person who tried SimCity when it first came out or heard about SimCity, thought maybe this isn't quite going to be the right game for me, or maybe you're just now finding out about SimCity. But whatever category you fall in, if you're the person who's been thinking that I want to play this game, but I'm just not sure, I've been hearing things about how the game is broken. That's what I want to address. I want to talk about that, and then I want to spend some time. Let's talk about the expansion packs. Let's talk about the DLC. I want to kind of go through them, give you my thoughts, and then that way you can make a decision on which packs, which DLCs might work for you and your playstyle. So you may or you may not be familiar with the fact that this particular version of SimCity had a rough introductory launch. I'm not going to go into detail on all the things that happened. Let's just say that if you were around when it first came out, and I was one of them, this was about as far as you could get into the game. The game originally was released only multiplayer online, and all the servers were full. So really, you spent 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes for the first week to 2 weeks that the game was released staring at this screen. And I completely understand getting frustrated and wanting to move on from the game. This is very similar to what's going on right now with City Skylines 2. City Skylines 2 has had a difficult, challenging introduction, and there are a lot of people, I'm sure, who have decided, I'm going to move on from City Skylines 2. It just isn't working. It's a broken game. But over time, games hopefully will get fixed, they get patched, and they become much more playable. That's the situation that I find myself in with this version of SimCity. First of all, you no longer have to play it online. And then, even as more importantly as that, there have been 20, 25 patches pushed through. So, this version of SimCity that we are playing today is night and day from the version that came out back during the introduction of this game. So, all I can say is if you've been thinking about playing SimCity and what's been holding you back from playing SimCity is what you've heard about, oh, the game is broken, it's got lots of bugs. It's not a perfect game, but it is far from broken. If you've watched any of my Let's Plays, you know that we've created lots of cities. We're doing a Let's Play together where I'm visiting your cities. For the most part, that experience has been very, very hassle-free. So all I can say is this version of SimCity, after all of the patches and all of the updates have been done, it is well worth. If you like city builders and if you've seen these videos and you think that you want to give it a try, I do highly recommend it. This version of SimCity is nothing like the SimCity that was originally released. And I'm sure the same thing's going to be said about City Skylines 2 at some point. So, yeah, SimCity, I believe, is well worth giving a try. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on that portion of it. What I really want to talk about is I want to talk about the expansion packs. I want to talk about the DLC. I want to go through those. I want to offer my tips, my ideas, my thoughts. Remember, we all have different play styles. So what you may want to do is different than what I want to do. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the different expansions and DLCs that have been released. I want to begin with the DLCs that are actually on the EA website currently. But then I do want to talk about other things because there may be other DLCs that at some point return to the EA storefront. The other thing that I want to talk about is, or not talk about, is pricing. You may watch this video at the time that it's released. You may be watching this video a year or 2 years later. So I don't want to go through pricing. I just want to talk about the different things that you can add to the game, and then you can make an informed decision on your own. There was only one major expansion pack released for this version of SimCity, and that expansion pack is Cities of Tomorrow. When I look at the cities that other players have built, it's obvious that Cities of Tomorrow is an important expansion pack and an important addition to the SimCity game. In my opinion, it adds so much that it is required for the SimCity game because it's going to offer so much more playability. Yes, you can build your own non-modernized city, but there's going to come a time where you're going to want some variety, and that variety comes in Cities of Tomorrow. So the Cities of Tomorrow expansion pack, you get Mega Towers, Standard and Elite Mega Towers. It comes with the Academy, and it comes with Omega. So there's three different play styles. You can do a city that's a Mega Tower city, or you could do a high education, clean academy city, or you can do what I consider kind of that Blade Runner look where you're creating Omega. I'm not going to go through every single item that was in Cities of Tomorrow, but in Cities of Tomorrow, you got we got some additional parks for the different wealth levels. We got an upgraded sewage sanitizer, upgraded ways of getting water out of the ground. We got maglev for transportation, ground scrubber, as well as fusion power. I think Cities of Tomorrow is a required expansion pack if especially your playstyle warrants the need to do more of a futuristic take on a city. At the time of this video, the amusement park set DLC is on the EA website. And what this is a way of adding on to your efforts if you're working on a tourism city. So the tourism park set includes an entrance, and then you can add on to that with standard rides, marquee rides, trains, and things of that nature. If you are the type of player who's really into that tourist aspect of playing SimCity, I think the amusement parks DLC, especially if when you're looking at it, if it's a price that works with you, I think it is a worthwhile addition to your SimCity, especially as I said, if you are into tourism. This may now be a free DLC. This is separate, but this is part of that another type of attractions. I call these more street side attractions. I do not use these very often. If I do use one, I will use the largest ball of twine, but you do get not only that, but the llama, you get a gnome, a dinosaur, and you get the Maxis Man statue. If you like that kind of whimsical look to your city, this is a good addition. Again, it's currently not on the EA website. I just don't know, but I just wanted to at least talk about this because at one time it was a DLC. There were 3 city set DLCs that were released. Those city sets were the British city set, there was a French city set, and there was a German city set. The primary item in each city set was a landmark. So you could get the British city set and you could get Big Ben. The French, you got the Eiffel Tower, and the German, you got the Brandenburg Gate. What you got when you placed those items and when you got that DLC, for example, if what you got was the British city set Big Ben, the Big Ben monument in your city will change the look of your buildings. So if you have medium density, high wealth buildings, those buildings will take on the look of British architecture. Eiffel Tower in your city, medium density, high wealth buildings will take on the look of French architecture. Brandenburg Gate, German architecture. So these are 3 separate DLCs. Now, in addition to that, if you got the German Brandenburg Gate, you also got German high speed train station. If you got the British city set, you got double decker bus terminal. If you got the French city set, you got the French police station. Of the 3, the one that I get the most use out of, and if you've watched my videos, you know that I almost exclusively use the French police station. I'm pretty sure that I saw or heard someplace that the French police station you get slightly faster response from the police cars. If anybody knows that for sure, if you can say no, Leonard, that's not the case, then let me know. But I believe you get faster response, but I almost exclusively use the French police. I don't use this double decker as much. I don't use this high speed rail. You have to decide, do the extra buildings make that much of a difference? And in some ways, yes, because that's an extra building for train, an extra building for bus that you can add to your city as well as change the look of the city. So I think these are 3 DLCs that are actually they're actually quite worth it just to get a little more gameplay out of your city. So definitely something to keep in mind. As I've said, of the buildings that come with the landmarks, I use the French police station almost exclusively. We have here the airships DLC. So you get the airship hangar. In addition to that, when you get it, you also get a commuter airship mooring. For those of you that have played SimCity and you've tried to work with the airport, you know that the airport takes up a lot of space and that the airport does not bring in that many individuals into your city. If you watch me play, you know that I many, many times will put down the airship. It has a smaller footprint, and when I look at the amount of individuals that it can bring in addition to high wealth, it will also bring in medium wealth. So I have cities in which my airport may only be bringing in a few hundred visitors, but my airship is bringing in thousands of visitors. To me, because of the way I like to play and because of the way I like to build my cities, and I know that space is limited, and I really do enjoy the tourism aspect. I do think that the airship DLC is a worthwhile purchase just because it's going to help your city function better, especially if you're going along the path of tourism. It is currently on the EA website, and if you can find it on the website and it's at a price that works for you, I do recommend getting this particular DLC. Also, currently available on the EA website is the Heroes and Villains DLC. The Heroes and Villains is you get Maxis Man, and actually there's Maxis Man running around the top of the building, but you're getting your own superhero and you're getting Vu Tower. So in addition to a superhero, you can get a super villain for your city. If that is your playstyle, then you may want to consider this. I do not get a lot of use out of this particular DLC, especially Vu Tower, because I'm not a big fan of creating criminals. I like my cities to be relatively crime free. Maxis Man is somewhat fun, but once again, this is really up to your playstyle. You may love the concept of having a superhero in your city. And if that's the case, if this is available on the EA website store and you're happy with the investment of it, then definitely by all means get it. But all right, let's talk about some items that may or may not be on the EA website when you look. A lot of these are limited time offers, except for currently, as of this video, when this video is being made, the Nissan Leaf charging station is available on the EA website. At the time of this video, there is no charge for it. And really what it is, you place it down in your city. Some of the cars will convert and they will become Nissan Leafs. And this is where you go to charge those cars. The other three items, and let me know if you know of otherwise, but these were limited time offers. Let's start with the progressive office. I have had several people say, hey, Leonard, when you click on fire, you have an extra building. What that extra building is the progressive office. What the progressive office is basically just that. It's an insurance building to guard against catastrophe. So if you place this building down, buildings that you plop, you can set a coverage rate. And if a disaster happens and the building that you plop down gets destroyed, then whatever insurance rate you set is where you will be when it comes to rebuilding that building. I do not play with disasters that often, so this is not something that is critical. It's fun to have, but once again, it's not a critical item. But if we get into doing disasters, maybe what we'll do is in a city, we will set an insurance rate. We'll destroy some buildings and we'll plop down replacement buildings at a lower cost. If you see me play and you've noticed that when I click on health, you'll see an additional building. And I've gotten some people say, hey, what's that third building? This is the Red Cross Relief Center. It's been a long time, but I get the feeling that this particular DLC was part of a charity. If you purchased this DLC, the proceeds went to the American Red Cross. I believe. I'm not 100% sure about that. If you were around when this came out, let me know. Was that the case? Do you remember? The American Red Cross, very similar to the Progressive, its benefit takes place during a disaster. So if you have one of these, up and running in your city and a disaster takes place, Red Cross relief tents will appear in the lawn here. It will also appear at your city hall. It will appear at your schools, at your hospitals, fire departments. There will be little tents that will pop up throughout the city, and they will stay for a while as if they're providing relief to the Sims that were displaced in a disaster. It is kind of a fun gameplay, but I just don't play with disasters that much. But maybe what we'll do is at some point we'll do a city where we will have a disaster. We will cover our buildings with a progressive building, and we will also provide shelter, temporary homes for our residents with the American Red Cross. This is the Archology Launch Center. I believe this was a limited item. You had to pre purchase Cities of Tomorrow. And what this is a base that is a park. And on top of the park is a launch arcology. You would get tourists. And once this gets filled up with tourists, and you can also click, you can also fill it with prisoners. But once this gets filled up to the max, then you can launch tourists and prisoners into space. You'll make a profit and still have a park base left over, but you can always place another arcology on top of the base. I'm pretty sure this was a limited time offer, but if you see it and the price works and this is something that's of interest to you, great. It is a cool animation. However, it really, other than that, doesn't add too much to the city or to the gameplay. Speaking of the EA Games storefront, I have gotten some comments where people say, so how do I even get SimCity in the first place? I would recommend getting your game and your DLCs from the EA Games storefront. I would not trust a physical copy of SimCity. There have been so many updates to the game that my concern is that you would try to load an old SimCity disc and you not get all the updates correctly. I did see comments from a person who ordered a disc and it just didn't work. So I, whether it's EA or I'm getting my games off of Steam, I like getting a digital download. That way I know I'm getting not only the game itself, but all of the updates that have come with the game. And by having that digital download from the actual storefront, if I have need from technical support, let's say for some reason something goes wrong, I now have that trail, that paper trail, if you will, that shows that I got a game, I tried to download it, and it didn't work. So for SimCity, you would get it from the EA Games storefront, and that's where you would also look for any available DLC at the time that you are thinking about DLCs. But I just wanted to spend some time going over the expansion pack, Cities of Tomorrow, and then the other various DLCs and just give you my thoughts on them. Please keep in mind, these are my thoughts. What is a absolutely critical DLC for me may not be critical for you. So think about my comments, but also think about your play style. You may love the concept of having a superhero in your city. So please, I just wanted to bring to your attention the various DLCs. Take a look at the website, see if there's anything available. Always check back, but I hope this helps you with making that decision on what to add and what not to add to your city. But overall, have fun, enjoy the game, and we will see you next time.